It started with the sound of sirens, not from war, but from celebration that the planet of Virelia had not known battle for 1,000 years. Peace reigned under the rule of Queen Sahalith, but her daughter, Princess Nerea, brought storms wherever she walked. She was young, strange, and powerful. Some said she could control light itself with a blink. Others whispered that she could read thoughts if she truly focused. No one could prove either claim, and Nerea liked it that way. Then the humans arrived. It was supposed to be a peaceful alliance. One Earth security team was sent to serve inside the royal palace. They were strong, disciplined, and emotionless, or so they tried to be. But no training prepared them for the alien princess with glowing silver eyes and a laugh like velvet smoke. Sergeant Daniel Rourke had been assigned to guard her personal wing. He was tall, serious, and rarely spoke unless needed. A man who followed every rule. The kind of man who had survived 5 campaigns on 3 brutal worlds without flinching. So of course, Nerea picked him as her favorite toy. The first time she spoke to him, she made the walls hum with energy. "Sergeant Rourke," she said with a grin, "do you always look that tense, or is it just me?" He stood still like a statue. She tilted her head and stepped closer. Her gown shimmered with strange shifting colors like it was alive. "Don't worry," she whispered, too close. "I won't bite. Unless you ask." That was only the beginning. For days she played games with him, changing her hair color mid-sentence, floating 6 inches off the ground just to watch him flinch, or suddenly appearing behind him as a puff of warm mist. He never reacted, never said a word, but every time she looked at him, she noticed the same thing. His pulse, just under the skin of his neck, jumped. She liked that. She wanted more of it. On the 7th day, she appeared in front of him with a crown of flame resting on her brow, an illusion, of course. "You know, human," she said slowly, dragging her fingers through the air, "most men fall on their knees by now. I'm beginning to think you're broken." He finally spoke. "My job is protection, not performance." That made her laugh. "Then maybe you're in the wrong place," she said, walking away. Later that night, alarms rang through the palace. Not celebration this time, not music, panic. Unmarked ships had broken orbit. Stealth class, fast and quiet. They weren't Virelian. And they weren't human. The war wasn't declared. It just began. As the palace prepared for lockdown, Rourke was ordered to escort the princess to the underground vaults. She refused. "I'm not hiding while my people bleed," she snapped. "Then I will carry you there," he replied without blinking. She glared at him, her eyes glowing with dangerous power. "You would drag your princess like a sack of grain?" "If it saves your life," he said. She didn't answer, but she followed. They moved fast through narrow corridors and shifting stone passageways that only the royal family knew. The ground shook above them. Explosions. The palace had shields, but they were meant to stop riots, not stealth missiles. In the safety of the crystal vault, she sat against a cold wall and looked at him. "You don't like me," she said softly. He didn't respond. She looked down. "It's okay. No one truly does." They smile, bow, pretend I'm some golden gift from the stars. But I see it, the fear, the fake warmth. You're just better at hiding it. He stood silently by the door. "I tease you because I don't know how else to connect." Her voice dropped. "I wasn't made for peace, Rourke. I was made for something else. That's why my own mother keeps me in this palace like a pretty cage." There was no more teasing in her voice, just truth. Then she turned her head sharply. "They're coming." He heard it too, a faint vibration in the floor. Not footsteps, hover pads. Enemy soldiers. "I'll hold the vault," he said. "You stay hidden behind the resonance wall." She grabbed his arm. "You'll die. That's the job." "No," she said firmly, and then her power surged. For the first time, Rourke saw what she truly was. Light bent around her. Her eyes lit like twin stars. The crystal wall behind her cracked, unable to contain the force building around her. "Body, you're not dying for me," she said, and she vanished. Just blinked out of sight, leaving behind the scent of heat and starlight. The door exploded inward a second later. 3 masked figures stepped through, tall, armored, fast. But so was she. She reappeared behind them in a streak of burning silver and took them down one by one. No weapons, just light, pressure, and power. It was over in seconds. She turned to him, breathing hard. "Maybe now you'll stop ignoring me." He stared at her, stunned. "What are you?" She smiled weakly. "The real question is, what have I just started?" And in her eyes, something had already changed. She touched her stomach, and for a second, her glow pulsed, not just with power, but with life. Asterisk. The halls of the palace were coated with dust and smoke. Crystal shards glittered like spilled starlight, scattered from the broken walls. The enemy was retreating, but only because they'd already tested the defenses and failed to get what they came for. Hidden inside the deep vault, Princess Narration stood silently beside the unconscious bodies of the intruders. Her breath was steady now, her glow had faded. But something else remained. Something she hadn't expected. Her hand was still resting gently on her stomach. Sergeant Rourke had noticed. His sharp eyes missed nothing, but he said nothing. Not yet. He secured the room, activated his COM link, and requested emergency extraction. Command responded instantly. The humans were pulling back to the embassy compound. The attack on the palace was the beginning of something bigger. Something more coordinated. He turned to her. "We need to move. There's a secure evac ship on standby." But she didn't move. "Princess?" She looked at him strangely, her eyes unreadable. "Something's wrong," she whispered. "I feel changed. Are you injured?" "No, not like that." She tilted her head, then laughed quietly. "I don't even think I can be injured right now. Not after what I just did." Rourke paused, uneasy. Her powers had always been strange, playful, sometimes annoying, but never like this. Never deadly. Never divine. "You didn't just defend yourself," he said finally. "You tore through 3 armed soldiers like they were made of paper." "I wasn't trying to kill them," she said. "It just happened. They were going to hurt you." His eyes narrowed slightly. She noticed. "What? You don't believe I care about your safety?" "I believe you act on instinct." She smiled. "And maybe that's what love is." He didn't answer that. He simply stepped closer and held out a hand. "We have to go." She hesitated only a second, then took his hand. As they ran through the broken halls of the palace, she kept looking over her shoulder, not for danger, for something else. Her skin felt warm, her chest tight. Something deep inside her kept pulsing, like a second heartbeat. By the time they reached the evac point, the sky was burning orange. Fighters clashed in the upper atmosphere. Human gunships fired streaks of blue light at unseen ships that flickered in and out of cloaking. It wasn't a full war, not yet, but the tension was rising like smoke from dry leaves. Narration and Rourke boarded the ship without another word. She sat near the window, watching the stars pass. Her thoughts were loud now. Too loud to hide, even from herself. The moment in the vault. The burst of power. The way the light had reacted to her emotions, it hadn't been normal. And she knew her own body well enough to realize something ancient had just awakened. Inside her, she closed her eyes and focused inward. She didn't need a test, she already knew. New life was beginning inside her. And the only male close enough, biologically compatible, physically present, emotionally significant, was sitting 2 meters away. Buckling in for atmospheric re-entry. Sergeant Daniel. "Rourke." She opened her eyes. He noticed the look on her face but said nothing. Instead, he opened a sealed packet from his gear and offered her water. She took it slowly. "You're staring," he said quietly. I'm wondering something. About? You, she replied. And me, and consequences. I don't believe in flirting during combat. I don't believe this was just flirting anymore. He didn't argue. The silence between them wasn't cold. It was full, thick, almost electric. They landed at the human embassy in Sector 7, where medics rushed in to check for wounds. Narration refused them politely. Rourke submitted to protocol. Neither spoke of what had just happened. Later that night, inside the sterile comfort of the embassy guest quarters, she sat alone in the soft blue light of the room. She placed both hands on her stomach and finally whispered the words aloud. I'm pregnant. Her voice trembled. Not from fear, but from wonder. There had never been a human Varelian union before. Not one that produced life. Their DNA wasn't supposed to align naturally. And yet, her power had always worked in mysterious ways. Perhaps it had done more than protect her. Perhaps it had chosen. A knock came at the door. She didn't move at first. Then she stood and opened it. Rourke stood in the hallway, armor off, dressed in plain black fatigues. He looked like a soldier, but something in his face had softened. You're not well, he said, studying her closely. I'm not sick. You're different. Yes, she said simply. He hesitated, then asked, Is it something I need to know? She stepped back, allowing him inside. She looked at him for a long moment, then walked to the center of the room. What if I told you the line between power and life just blurred? I'd say I've seen stranger. And if I told you, she placed his hand gently over her lower abdomen, that you're part of something no one in the galaxy expected? He froze, not from fear, but from the overwhelming realization of what she meant. And yet, neither of them spoke again. Not that night. Because outside, in the stars above them, a dozen enemy ships had gone silent. And someone, somewhere, had learned the news. The princess was pregnant, and her child was half human. Asterisk. The next morning came quietly, too quietly. The embassy was on high alert, but the skies above Varelia remained calm. No new attacks, no demands. Just silence. Silence never meant safety. Princess Narration stood at the edge of the rooftop garden, her long robe fluttering in the breeze. She looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, someone was waiting, watching, thinking. Enemies didn't need to strike twice. They only needed the right leverage. And now, she was at inside the embassy. Sergeant Rourke stood in front of his superior officer, Commander Harrow, who didn't look pleased. Why wasn't she placed under full security detail after the palace breach? Harrow asked sharply. I followed protocol. I evacuated her to a secure zone and remained on her, Rourke replied. And now she's in our care. Earth Command wants a full report. You were closest to her when her power spiked. What do you know? Rourke hesitated. He wasn't a man who lied, but telling the full truth. He didn't even know what that was anymore. She used her powers to neutralize 3 armed attackers. No weapon. No visible energy. Just force. Focused and precise. That's not new, Harrow said. She's always had unpredictable abilities. Rourke added slowly. This wasn't unpredictable. It was controlled, like something inside her had finally decided to act. Harrow narrowed his eyes. We believe her powers evolved during the attack. But here's the concern, Varelian. Bloodlines carry specific energy signatures. Their rulers are chosen not only by tradition, but by genetics. If her power is growing and becoming something new, the political balance could collapse. Rourke looked away. She's not the threat. Maybe not, but someone's going to see her that way soon. That night, Narration received a secure message on her personal console. The sender ID was hidden, but the code was old pre-Royal War era. Secret level clearance. She opened the file. There was no video, no voice, just a single line of glowing text. The child cannot be allowed to live. There is balance for a reason. Her heart stopped. Her hand flew to her belly, still barely showing. The warmth was still there, that soft, strange glow inside her. But now it felt fragile. Like someone had just whispered a threat over a candle flame dot. She turned the message over to the human tech team. Their scans couldn't trace the origin. The encryption was ancient and biological Varelian royal tech, designed to only work once. Self-erasing. Untraceable. The humans now knew one thing for sure. The threat was internal. That same evening, Rourke found her pacing the edge of the secured garden again. She didn't look like the teasing, playful girl he had guarded weeks ago. She looked like something older, heavier, like someone carrying the weight of an entire world in her chest. "Tell me the truth," she said quietly as he approached. "Would Earth protect me if Varelia turned against me?" He didn't answer right away. "We're your allies. We don't abandon people." She looked at him with calm eyes. "That's not an answer." He exhaled slowly. "If you were in danger, I'd protect you, personally, regardless of the flag." That was the first time she reached for his hand without teasing in her voice. She gripped his fingers tightly. "I think they know," she whispered. "The message?" She nodded. "They know I'm carrying something they don't understand. And that makes them afraid." He stepped closer, his tone steady. "Then we control what happens next. We don't wait." "Wait for what? For them to come." The next day, Rourke gathered 3 specialists from Earth's Deep Recon Team, stealth pilots, bioshield experts, no official records. Just ghosts in armor. He didn't ask for approval. He simply made a plan. He would move Narration off-world, quietly, discreetly, somewhere. Neutral. She agreed on one condition. "I don't want to hide like prey. I want to leave with dignity." "Then you'll have it," he said. But they both knew things wouldn't go smoothly. Just hours before the launch, a royal Varelian envoy arrived at the embassy, unscheduled, demanding to speak to Narration. The message was clear: return to the Kion, to the palace, or be considered in rebellion. Narration refused. The envoy didn't argue. He only bowed and said the words that chilled every human soldier present. "If she leaves this planet, the treaty between Earth and Varelia will be nullified, and war will be declared." Later, inside the private launch bay, Rourke checked the ship again, every bolt, every nav core. No mistakes allowed. Narration sat in the corner, silent, pale. He turned to her. "We don't have to go. You can stay and fight this politically." "I won't let them use the child," she said firmly. "My body is not a throne, and my child is not a weapon." He nodded once. The launch timer started. They both knew. Once that ship left orbit, nothing would ever be the same again. And far above them, a dozen cloaked ships began to shift. The galaxy had noticed. And not everyone was ready for a child who carried both fire and flesh. The launch was quiet, clean, and invisible to the Varelian satellites, or so they believed. The diplomatic starcruiser hummed softly as it exited the upper atmosphere. Narration sat in the rear cabin, strapped in, silent, her hands crossed tightly over her lap. Her body no longer glowed. Her powers were dormant now, still, but something inside her wasn't still at all. Sergeant Rourke sat across from her, helmet off, eyes alert. His weapon lay ready by his side, but it wasn't enemies he was thinking. About it was the expression on her face. She wasn't just worried, she looked broken. "I left my world," she said finally, her voice barely a whisper. "I abandoned it." "No," Rourke said. "You refused to be controlled by it." "I was born for it," she replied, "raised to lead it, and now?" "Now I'm just a girl running from her crown." He leaned forward. "You're a mother protecting her child." She flinched. That word mother felt too big, too sudden. "How am I supposed to protect something I don't even understand?" "You don't have to know everything," he said. You just have to survive long enough to learn. She looked up at him slowly. And what if they come for me anyway? They will, he said calmly. That's why I'm here. Just as he finished speaking, the console beeped. A blinking red light. The pilot's voice came through over. The coms, we've got company. One ship, small, not transmitting. No IFF. Rourke stood and secured his gear. Tell me it's a human vessel. No sir, Varelian, but modified. Very fast. Nerea's stomach dropped. A hunter, she whispered. One of the silent talons, Rourke frowned. Assassin? She nodded. My mother's private arm. They were never officially listed in royal records. They track threats quietly and remove them. How many? One is enough. The lights flickered. The ship shuddered as something grazed the starboard hull. A high-pitched sound echoed through the frame like a scream trapped in metal. Shields holding, the pilot said, his voice tight. But they've latched. They're boarding. Rourke turned to Narration. Go. Get to the inner vault. Lock it. Don't open it for anyone but me. I'm not hiding again. You said you weren't a queen anymore, he snapped. Good. Then listen to your damn guard. Her mouth opened, then closed. She gave a single sharp nod and ran. The docking bay hissed as atmosphere bled out for a moment. The assassin came through. The narrow tunnel like a shadow, a figure dressed in black veils that moved like water. No visible weapon, but danger in every step. Rourke stepped forward with his rifle raised. You don't want this fight. The assassin didn't answer. They didn't need to. In a blink, the figure vanished. He rolled just in time as a blade sliced down where his neck had been. In one move, he drew a plasma knife and parried. Sparks flew. The air smelled like ozone and heat. The Talon was fast, but Rourke had fought worse. Alien warlords, machine soldiers, even void creatures that screamed without sound. But none moved like this. No wasted motion, no anger. Just cold purpose. He took a hit to his side and fell back, breathing hard. Who sent you? He barked. The assassin said only one word. Balance. Back in the vault, Narration could feel the fighting. Her connection to energy had grown sharper with the pregnancy. She could feel Rourke's pulse. His pain, his fear, and his determination. And she could feel something else. The baby was responding, not in fear but in power. The warmth in her belly suddenly surged outward. Her fingertips began to glow. The room pulsed with light, as if her heartbeat had synced with the ship itself. No more hiding, she whispered. She stepped out of the vault and ran. She found Rourke pinned to the floor, blood leaking from his side, the assassin ready to strike the final blow. But the moment she entered, the assassin paused. The glow around her was no illusion this time. It burned with life, pure, raw, ancient. Her veins shimmered like molten silver. Her eyes blazed. I don't need to fight you, she said. Because you already lost the moment I chose to protect life, the assassin lunged. She raised her hand. And everything froze, literally. The air thickened like glass. Time itself bent. The assassin hung mid-air, locked in a prism of energy. Even Rourke could barely move, watching through the slow pulse of frozen space. Then the light shattered. The Talon fell to the floor alive. Unconscious, disarmed. Rourke coughed as the flow of time snapped back. Narration knelt beside him, glowing softly now, her hand hovering above his wound. Warmth flowed from her skin. You're not supposed to have healing powers, he mumbled. Neither was my child. Supposed to exist, she said with a faint smile. Seems the universe is done following rules. He laughed once, then passed out. Behind them, the ship kept flying toward neutral space. But in the darkness of the galaxy, more ships were moving now. Not just Varelian. Not just human. Others. because word was spreading. The daughter of power was carrying the child of earth, and to some, that child was hope. To others, it was a threat that must be destroyed. The diplomatic cruiser floated silently through the dark sea of stars, cloaked now, hidden within the gravitational shadow of a dead moon. Rourke lay in a med bed, pale but stable, while Narration stood near the window, staring at her reflection in the glass. Her glow had dimmed, but it hadn't disappeared. She wasn't sure it ever would again. In her hand, she held a report from the ship's AI. The baby's development was faster than normal, accelerated by the combined effects of her energy and human DNA. Vital signs were strong. Neural activity off the charts, already growing too fast, she whispered to herself. Too different, and far too powerful for anyone to feel safe about it. The human tech team had tried to scan the fetus using low-impact waves, but the sensors malfunctioned. Light bent near her womb. Instruments flickered. Power surged for no reason. Whatever was inside her wasn't just alive, that it was evolving. Rourke stirred. She rushed to his side. "Hey," he murmured, eyes slowly opening. "You're not allowed to die, remember?" She whispered, voice tight. He gave a weak grin. "It'd take more than a royal assassin to kill me." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You almost did. Where are we?" "In hiding. Neutral zone near the Mirian border. They agreed not to broadcast our presence." He blinked slowly. "You stopped the Talon." "I didn't stop her," Narration said. "The baby did." His brow furrowed. "I felt something," she continued. "When you were hurt. The fear. The pain. And then, I wasn't afraid. I just knew what to do." Rourke sat up slightly, wincing. "Are you telling me our unborn child activated combat instincts and time-stopping powers?" She looked at him. He stopped joking. A long silence passed between them. Then he said, "We need answers." "Agreed." Later that day, a secure transmission came in, scrambled, encoded, but marked with Earth Council seals. A woman appeared on the screen. Admiral Kayla Hesh, head of Human Varelian Diplomatic Relations. "Narration, Rourke, we've confirmed the attack was not authorized by the Varelian Council. It was a rogue faction from within the royal court. The Queen herself has denied involvement. But we don't believe her." Narration didn't flinch. "Of course not. She wants the child erased, quietly, without political fallout." Admiral Hesh continued, "We also intercepted something worse. A bounty, unofficial, spread across 6 systems for the child. Alive or dead." "Who placed it?" Rourke asked. "No name. But it's being picked up by alien houses that shouldn't even know about this." The screen glitched, then flickered back on. "The child is being called the Divide. A life form born from 2 powers that were never meant to mix. Half light, half earth blood. Some want it studied. Others want it weaponized. And some want it dead," Narration said coldly. "Yes." Narration stood tall. "I'm not running anymore." "You're not safe to return to Varelia," Hesh warned. "I don't care. I'm not letting others shape this child's future. I will choose the battlefield this time." Hesh narrowed her eyes. "Then you'd better have a plan." "I do." That night, Narration visited the engine core of the ship, alone. She placed her hand on the fusion glass and whispered in the old tongue of her people. The ship responded, lights dimming, energy shifting. She wasn't just tapping into power, she was speaking to it. Energy obeyed her now, she called it, and it came, within. The glowing chamber, a sphere formed pale and golden, humming softly. Not just light, but memory. Ancient Varelian code, what they once called the Star Womb, a creation matrix. Forbidden since the time of collapse. She could build a new body from it, or a sanctuary. Or something more. Later, Rourke met her. Near the chamber, still limping slightly. "What is this place?" She didn't turn around. "It was part of an old royal secret. My mother once told me it was too dangerous to touch." But she never told me why. And you're touching it. Anyway, she finally turned to him. Because this child may be the first true bridge between two powers. Varelian energy. Human will. It could break the galaxy, or save it. Rourke stepped forward slowly. We protect the child. Together, she stared at him. You're not afraid of what it might become. I'm afraid of what others will try to turn it into. She nodded once, and for the first time in days, she looked calm. But outside, beyond the shadows of the dead moon, things were already moving. One ship detached from the black, small, silent, insect-like. It carried no flag, no signal, no light dot. It wasn't there to talk. It was there to capture the child growing inside the flirty princess. And its pilot wasn't human, nor Virelian. It was something much older, and it had waited for this child to be conceived. The stars beyond the dead moon shifted like blinking eyes. Unseen, watching. The black insect-like ship drifted closer, never making a sound. It didn't need sound. Its hull absorbed radar, cloaking light and bending signal. Inside it sat something. Ancient, something not born of flesh or machine. Its kind had once ruled from the shadows of suns, before Virelia, before Earth, before recorded time. Now it had returned. For the child. Meanwhile, inside the cruiser, Nerea slept lightly in her quarters, one hand resting over her stomach, her thoughts tangled with images, visions she couldn't explain. Fire and shadow, stars falling. A baby's cry in a chamber. Made of mirrors, none of it made sense. She woke with a start. Her body was warm. Too warm. She sat up and felt the faint pulse beneath her skin again. Not her heartbeat. The child's. It wasn't just alive. It was aware. Responding to something. She reached out with her senses. The way her royal instructors had taught her long ago, feel the currents of energy around her. But this time, she felt something else. A cold presence, near, watching. She didn't wait. She ran to the command deck. Rourke was already there, awake, armed. His face was grim. You feel it too? She asked. He nodded. Something's here. The ship's AI chimed in. Unknown vessel detected. Range, 40 kilometers. Trajectory, silent approach. Type, unidentified. Not human, not Virelian. Nerea narrowed her eyes. Then what? Ancient, the AI said. Unmapped, possibly pre-stellar. Shields up, Rourke snapped. Evasive protocols, stealth engines online. Prepare to jump. No. Nerea said, if we jump, it will follow. And it will learn where we hide. Then what's the plan? He asked. I'll speak to it. His jaw clenched. Absolutely not. She turned to him, calm but serious. You said you'd protect me. That includes trusting me. I trust you, he said, stepping closer. But I don't trust it. Then stand ready. She walked toward the starboard observation deck. If it tries to hurt us, I won't be the same girl who teased you in the palace halls. Rourke followed, silent, heart pounding. The alien ship made no demands. No comes, no lights. But then it touched them. Not physically, not even through space. It reached into the cruiser's systems without entering. Screens flickered. Lights dimmed. The air turned electric. Every metal surface in the ship started to hum like a tuning fork. The IS voice stuttered. System anomaly. External pressure detected. Source unknown. Translation running. Suddenly one screen lit up. The child carries the flame of union. Return it. Nerea stepped forward. Who are you? No answer. Only a second message. We observed the early stars. We warned your kind not to mix paths. Now you birth imbalance. If you will not erase it, we will. Erase? Nerea whispered. Rourke stepped beside her. So they think it's a mistake? No, she said. They think it's a threat. A break in something they spent eons shaping. She pressed her hand to the console. Her voice grew cold. "This child didn't ask to be born. It's not your decision. It's ours." The alien ship pulsed again, and this time it struck. The entire cruiser shuddered as invisible pressure slammed into its shields. Not an explosion, but a compression field. The hull groaned. One of the backup engines died with a sharp hiss. AI's voice screamed through static. "Warning, gravitational grip forming. Core breach likely in." Suddenly, the lights cut. Total blackout. Silence. Then the glow. Naraya's body lit up. White gold light flowing through her skin like veins of fire. Her feet lifted off the ground slightly. The deck around her warped. And then came the voice. But it wasn't hers. It came through her. "She is under my protection." Everyone froze. The voice was calm, deep, not human. Not Varelian. But it carried a weight that made Rourke's bones tremble. "Return to the void," the voice said. "This union is chosen. It is no mistake." The alien ship paused. Its systems recoiled. For the first time it hesitated. Then it turned, without a word. Without a fight. It vanished into the stars like smoke caught in wind. The ship's systems flickered back. Lights stabilized. Pressure dropped. Rourke moved toward her carefully. "Naraya." She collapsed into his arms, shaking. Her glow faded. Her breathing was rough. But she was smiling. "He spoke," she whispered. "Who?" She looked up at him. "The child." Rourke pulled her close. "What did he say?" She rested her head against his chest. "He said, he chose us." And somewhere, deep in the power core, the star womb pulsed again, brighter than before. Because the child wasn't just growing. He was awakening. The next few days passed in silence. No more attacks, no more warnings. The stars stayed quiet. But everyone aboard the cruiser knew better than to believe in peace. The galaxy wasn't done with them. Princess Naraya slept longer now. Her body was changing rapidly. The child inside her was growing fast, too fast for comfort, but somehow not dangerously. She could feel him moving, not just physically, but energetically. Like his mind was stretching into the spaces around them. Sergeant Rourke barely left her side. He didn't ask too many questions anymore. Not about her powers. Not about the baby. Not even about the ancient alien that tried to erase them from existence. He simply stayed. That meant more than words. In the ship's lab, Earth's medical AI had tried to run a full scan of the child. It failed again, but not due to error. The scanners would shut down every time the pulse from the womb spiked, as if the unborn baby knew it was being observed. "Consciousness before birth," the tech muttered. "That's not possible." But it was. Naraya now spoke softly to her child. Every night, not lullabies but truths, about war, about betrayal, about love, about a guard who never bent, even when she teased him. Sometimes, the baby answered with a flicker of her glow or a warmth in her spine that made her close, her eyes and smile. But their quiet hours wouldn't last. A message came through 3 days later. Not coded, not secret. It was loud and public, sent across every known relay station in the system. A Varelian broadcast. It showed Queen Sahalith, Naraya's mother. Her eyes were cold as glass. "My daughter has broken sacred law. She carries something not meant to exist. A union born from selfish impulse, not prophecy. She has fled the protection of her people and invited instability into our star paths. This is no longer a family matter. It is a universal one. The child she carries must be returned for containment. If Earth refuses to comply, the treaty will be dissolved. We will take what is ours by right." Naraya watched the message without blinking. "I warned her this would happen," she said softly. "She's threatening war," Rourke replied. "No," Naraya corrected, standing. "She's trying to prevent rebellion. If she loses control of this, she'll lose her throne. The only way to protect her rule is to destroy me, or chain the child. Rourke clenched his fists. We won't let that happen. She's already mobilizing fleets. He turned to her. Then we strike first. Strike? Not with weapons, he said. With truth. The humans rerouted the ship toward the broadcast hub near the twin moons of Carrion. A neutral relay station watched by dozens of governments. Nerea would speak there, publicly. She would show the galaxy what was inside her, not with scans, not with fear, but with light. It was risky. It would expose them to everyone, friends and enemies. But hiding had nearly cost them everything. So she stepped onto that platform, alone. She didn't wear a crown. She wore simple robes, her feet bare against the metal floor. Behind her, 1,000 cameras waited, orbiting ships tuned in. Even Varelian scouts hovered just out of weapons range. She spoke. I am Nerea, daughter of Sahalith. You know me as princess, as ruler in line. But today, I speak only as a mother. I carry a child not born of conquest, but of connection. He is not a weapon. He is not a mistake. He is new. And what is new is always feared. She lifted her hands. Light shimmered through her skin, brighter than before. But it wasn't chaotic this time. It was soft, alive, beautiful. It reached through the screens and made even the most hardened soldier lean forward. This child has already defended himself, she continued. He has spoken through me. He has pushed away ancient powers that once ruled in silence. If you try to cage him, he will not rage. He will not destroy. He will choose. Then she placed her hand on her stomach. A pulse of warmth rippled outward from her body, not energy, not force. Just presence. And suddenly, even the ships above paused. No one moved, because they felt it, a presence in the stars. A new awareness. Not alien, not human. Both. More. The screen cut. Transmission ended. Back aboard the cruiser, Rourke waited as she stepped off the platform. She was tired. But something in her eyes had changed. Did it work? She asked. He nodded. You didn't just speak. You shifted the air in the galaxy. She smiled, and in that moment, the child inside her kicked hard. Rourke's eyes widened. Was that? Yes, he's strong, he's ready. Far away, in her mother's palace, Queen Sahalith watched the same transmission. Her hands trembled slightly, not with anger, with fear. Because for the first time, she understood. The child was not her enemy. He was the beginning of something her throne could never control. And the war was already lost.